Freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Don't stop me now. I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball. Don't stop me now.
Yeah, I'm going to get me some funky sunglasses. You know, clean up my eyes a little bit. You know, it started with just my left eye and had a, go get me a patch, but then it just went to both eyes, man. Dang. You know, so those on video on YouTube, this is why I am wearing sunglasses, so you don't have to look at my Resident Evil eye for the man. You know, we have on Sharleen B. She's the global release coordinator of Zeitgeist Moving Forward, the third movie. It's Zeitgeist, Zeitgeist, movingforward.com. Zeitgeistmovingforward.com. Now, when we've done shows before, I looked up what the heck is Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a German word that means a paradigm shift. It's kind of like a change in the way of thinking. Well, I'm certain that it certainly has that effect, and a lot of people are starting to question a lot of traditional myths and rhetoric that you would get from the mainstream media, the media that's so last century, and it gives you an opportunity to inject your own truths. Well, I want to know what that is. So, Sharleen, go ahead and help me out. What is it that define for me this resource-based economy that you're talking about?
Okay, well, first of all, I wanted to clarify the actual term zeitgeist means the intellectual and spiritual mood of our time. Now, let's hope that's a paradigm shift, like you said, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is. It's just describing what's in the zeitgeist, what's the atmosphere of our times in the culture.
Got it.
So, and basically a resource-based economy is using the Earth's resources as our life ground for making all decisions. In an intelligent society, that would be obvious. But somehow along the way with the monetary system, we don't use the resources as our life ground. We use the monetary system.
No, we use debt.
Is there a profit? Yeah, debt, exactly. Money is an artificial contrivance. So basically, the best way to explain this is if a giant meteor was to be coming towards the Earth and would destroy the planet, no one would ask if we have enough money to fix this or defend ourselves. No one would ask or care about racial divide, social stratification, religion. All that would matter then is that we harness the highest technology that we have to save our species and our planet. Well, that's what's happening. If you look at all systems, life support systems on the Earth right now, they're all in a decline. Every single one. You've probably heard the reports coming in around the world from hundreds up to thousands of birds and fish dying on beaches, dropping from the sky, even crabfish. There's been so many, this is just the most recent example, and I know a lot of that has to do with military exercises and other things, but the point is we are destroying our environment all around us. And so all the Zeitgeist movement is advocating is what the Venus Project it has proposed for years, is that let's take our Earth's resources that we all need and we'll all die if we don't preserve these, and use them, the carrying capacity of the Earth. Let's use that as our model for living.
This is, let me go ahead and express my view on this so that we can make sure that we're talking to each other, not kind of past, okay? So I want to get a definition of it. This is where it gets interesting in the conversation for me with someone that would advocate what you're talking about. I agree. We have problems, and it's what is the best method or mechanism by which these problems would be solved? So I'm going, to me, it's always freedom's the answer, what's the question? And to think that, the monetary system that is being used to allocate funds the way they are now, it's not really a free market. It's a monopoly on currency. You have legal tender laws. You have this fiat currency. You have debt. You have bankers that control Congress. Heck, you even have a Congress. All of this, I apologize, I'm sick. All of this information that you're talking about, I agree. We have a problem. The real solution, when you have, it's like a Rahm Emanuel thing. It's like you never let a good crisis go to waste. Well, I'm going, all right, well, I don't want to bring in a solution that's worse than the problem. So I'm going, all right, so we need to analyze what kind of solution are we going to have? So when you're talking about we need to, the first thing I got to ask is who's we? How do they decide it? And what force are you going to use on other people that choose to do something else? And who decides what it is that is to be done? Is it a majority? Is it democratic? Is it rule from on high? Is it, so, a lot of times I remember during the 90s, in 92, when Hagelin from the Natural Law Party was running for president. And I got to know these guys well and so on. And, of course, that was their mindset, was that, look, scientific minds, smart minds can solve these problems. We just need to use the force of collective government to make everybody do what we know should be done. And I'm going, well, heck, that's what they're claiming now. So I'm just, with that understanding from my perspective, I ask you this question. Who's we? How do you make these decisions? And who has the ultimate authority? I'm looking for the individual. Who are you looking for?
Okay, well, first I want to say freedom is my core value as well, but we have to define what freedom is. When you're talking about freedom compared to Saudi Arabia, sure, we've got a lot more freedoms here. But when you're talking freedom, are we voting for war here? Are we voting for what the tax money is being used for?
No, define freedom. Let's go ahead and define freedom. You started on that track. Let's go ahead and define freedom.
Okay. What I'm saying is, how free are we really here?
No, define freedom. Let's go ahead and let's get our terms straight first, or we won't even know what each other's saying.
Well, why don't you define what you mean by freedom?
I just want to be left alone.
Okay, but does that include that? Are you able to decide on what your tax money is being used for, or if you think the United States foreign policy is correct in what we're doing around the world?
No, if they got a 45 to my head, taking my money from me and spending it on whatever the heck they want, that's not leaving me alone.
Right. Okay, so, there's relative freedom. It just depends on where.
No, see, it's not relative. Either you are or you're not. See, this is the situation that I have when I talk to a lot of people, because I spend a lot of time with progressives on a libertarian show because it helps us make our point. In fact, years I was on the Air America affiliate here in Phoenix as our token libertarian. So I understand the left's perspective. And I have this debate calmly, and we just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Because when you talk about, what it does it mean to be free? And I'm going, well, I just want to be left alone. Well, no, we need to use government force to take from you to do this thing that we know better to do. And I'm going, how is that any different from the neocons? How is that any different from, the Republican or Democratic parties in charge now? How's that any different from another, the Soviet Union or another country? If you're going to use collective force to take that which is mine to redistribute or spend how you want, there isn't a difference. That's my point. So I'm just wondering, how is it that we're going to make these decisions that you're talking about? If it's going to be at the threat of force, then, you're just in line with the other bad guys.
Well, that's the typical mentality that we have here in a very individualistic society. And I understand what you're saying. It isn't about losing freedom. It's actually about everyone being able to preserve the common resources that we need.
Okay, well, let's go. We'll talk about it more when we come back. I think we're starting to understand each other, and that way we can get, use the right words, and we're using the same definitions to get to a solution, because that's what I want. We know the truth. We're going to try and find out what it is. We'll be right back.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.